Hello there. In the last video, we discussed 10 reasons why you should have a business plan, and today we'll be talking about a feasibility study, which is essentially the financial aspect of a business plan. A feasibility study is something you do before you even get started with the business at all. As the word implies, for those of us who are very comfortable with the English language, the feasibility of something it speaks to the viability of it. How robust will this thing be if I get involved in it? Thank you for coming back. Continue to watch, like, share, comment, subscribe, and always come back to keep watching, because I'll continue to share small business tips, a bit of financial knowledge here and there, and opportunities for making money, especially online. So today we are looking at the feasibility study. You put a feasibility study together. Now, when I say you, it does not have to be you as in the business owner. But by all means, you should look for the money to get experts, people who are very familiar with that field, to look through how the business unfolds itself, whatever it is you're trying to go into, and then draw up a feasibility plan. How feasible is this business going to be? In the long run, how much money will you be able to generate from it? Is it the kind of thing that will bring in sales and profit? What are the possible challenges that you will encounter financially? And so many other factors. These are things that you look into before you get your business off the ground. Now, most people who are planning to do something big, for instance, let me say somebody wants to establish a 5-acre farm. I would think that such a person would do a feasibility study to know, for instance, what kind of crops would work best with the kind of soil that's there. And then apart from that, the marketability of those particular crops when the person is done, and so on and so forth. How much money does the person require to put in? How much time will it take before the person begins to get some profit coming in? All of these things are factored into feasibility plans or feasibility studies. A feasibility study yields a feasibility plan or a feasibility report, as the case may be. So somebody does the study and then they prepare a report and then they hand it over to you. I think that if you're somebody who is planning to go into a sector that will require significant capital to get started, let's say, for instance, it's something that will require putting in about 50 to 100 million, you absolutely need a feasibility study done so that you don't waste your money. Now, like I said, you may not have as a person the skills necessary to put a feasibility report together. That is where the experts come in. Don't be penny wise and pound foolish, because you might be thinking to yourself, okay, here you are, you're planning to start a business that might set you back with regard to the money, the funding you're putting into it, capital and all of that. It might set you back by about 50 million to 100 million. That is still not mega business, but it's substantial. Now, you want to go into that, and you don't want to part with 2 million or 3 million to pay an expert or a firm to do you a comprehensive feasibility study that will yield a report that you can work with and know if this is something that you're really prepared to go into, and forecast all the different things that you should be taking into consideration. You don't want to spend money on that. So you just hit the ground running and start. And then in no time at all, you begin to experience challenges that you had absolutely no clue would exist because you did not do enough research before you started. And that research and all of that, especially when it comes to the finances, is where your feasibility study comes in. So a feasibility study helps you. It gives you an idea of how best to proceed, whether you should proceed at all, or whether it's something that, now that the feasibility report is out, it's not something you want to touch even with a 10-foot pole. You'd rather examine other options. So I have just been talking generally. At this point, I'd like to share specific points about why you should consider a feasibility study being carried out before you venture into any business, especially those that are capital intensive. So, here are 7 reasons why a feasibility study is important. Point number 1, and I think the most important, a feasibility study helps you to know how viable that business you're planning to go into will be. Is it something that you should bother with at all? Because see, what many people don't realize is that many businesses in Nigeria are fronts. That boutique owner that you see driving a very flashy car might be making money from something completely different and dark. And you'll be there thinking it's boutique, where she's selling used clothes that money is coming from. That's not the case. It's a feasibility study that will tell you for real that, okay, this used clothes thing that you want to go into on a very high scale, this and this and this and this and this is what it entails. This is how viable it is. This is how marketable this kind of business is within the area in which you are. So that is the most important thing about a feasibility study. It helps you to know if that particular business is something you should bother with at all. That is number 1. Number 2, a feasibility study will help you to come up with a close estimate for how much will be required to start that business. Now, let me tell you people something that you might not be aware of. Whenever you sit down on your own, let's say you're not using a feasibility study or report, and many small businesses will not do it. If you sit down on your own, you've done your basic research, and you think that starting your business, your physical business, might cost you something in the region of 1.5 million. My brother, my sister, I strongly recommend that you take that 1.5 million and multiply it by 3. Because it is when you get started that so many things that never crossed your mind at all and are equally important to the success of that business begin to pop up. So you might be thinking to yourself, this estate I'm living in, there are about maybe 30 houses here, no supermarket. I can start a small supermarket now. What is required? So you buy the items, you set up the shelves, you put a sales girl there. My dear, you're going to have to buy a very, very good generator if you're planning to stock drinks or any perishables. You'll buy at least 2 or 3 deep freezers or fridges. Your cash register will have to be the computerized one. And every item you bring will have to be labeled with that thing that they just scan, and it tells the price and everything. These are some things that people don't even consider. They think about the shop, the space, they think about the items they're going to stock, they think about the shelves, bringing in a carpenter to come and demarcate the place properly, they think of a sales girl, but they forget about electricity and how to preserve perishables and drinks and things like that. They forget about who will my supplier be? How can I reach the people that I can buy from wholesale directly instead of buying from other middlemen like myself, and therefore maximize profits? These are some things that somebody who is a newbie or who is extremely inexperienced might not take into consideration. And we all know that a very, very good generator might actually be even more than the rent you've paid for the space in which you're planning to run that shop. So that is why I said you are going to need to multiply that amount by 3 to have a more realistic idea of how much you actually need to put into that business for it to be, to operate at an even keel. I'm not just guessing. My master's is in management, so I have a bit of knowledge about this, although I don't have a physical business anywhere. But these are things that you should take into consideration. It's better for you to have more money than you need going into the business than to have too little when you get started, if it's a physical business. Number 3, what is the potential for that business to yield a good return on investment? So you're staying in this estate where, there are about 40 to 50 homes. You want to put up a grocery store or daily needs or supermarket, whichever one you're more conversant with. How long will it be before you break even? Break even means you've reached that place where you've started to bring in a profit, proper profit. How long will it be? Will it take you a couple of years? Can you really afford to wait a couple of years? Will it take you 3 years? Will it take you 4? In which case, are you better off getting a small space somewhere and building something, or even dropping a container there that you're going to own permanently, rather than paying yearly annual rent? Then number 4, it also helps you to identify the market for that particular product or service. So you want to open this grocery store in this supermarket, in this estate where you are living. But everybody there goes to work. And because they've been without a supermarket for a very long time, their default setting is when they go to town, they try to do all the shopping they need before coming home. It might take you a while for you to break that line of reasoning for them. Where is your market? Are you sure that the people living in that estate will patronize you? Or will they prefer that when they drive out, they buy in other places that they've been patronizing before that they feel are cheaper for them than yours that is just starting? Then again, maybe because you're just starting, your shop is not well stocked. So if they come to your shop, 2 out of the 5 items they need are not available. So where is your market? That is another thing you need to take into consideration, and it's one of the problems that a feasibility study helps you to solve. Okay? You also want to know who your competitors are. That is something else that a feasibility study will help you to find out. The people you have outsourced this thing to will go around, if they're doing a thorough job, they will go around the place and find out who your immediate competitors are within that locale, so that you have an idea of what you're coming up against. If those ones are already extremely well established, what strategy are you going to come up with to get people to even notice you at all, never mind patronize you, when these people have been there for much longer. That's another thing a feasibility study will help you to achieve. A good feasibility study will be able to help you with pricing. I mentioned this in the other video where I spoke about having a business plan. I said that most of the time people don't realize that pricing, the way you've priced your products, goes a long way in determining whether they sit on the shelf or whether they move. Some people will make their products unnecessarily expensive because they're trying to establish some kind of exclusivity and give it a value that it is not worth. People see through such things very easily. And if they realize that you've marked up the cost of something for absolutely no reason, you'll begin to lose customers. A good feasibility study will help you to come up with a realistic price for either the products, the goods, or the services that you're offering to consumers. Then again, how large of a market share are you likely to get by establishing this business? How much of the market will you be able to corner for yourself? Remember, most businesses are not necessarily brand new innovations. Most of them are based on templates that already exist. They're doing things that somebody else has already been doing. And usually these things that are already thriving are better for people to go into, especially if you don't have a whole lot of money. Just think up a different strategy, how to make yourself stand out. So for instance, let's say there are 1,001 fashion designers out there. What is your key selling point? Maybe yours is the fact that if you say you are delivering on the 12th, you deliver on the 12th. Even if it's at midnight, you make sure that you deliver on the 12th. There are some customers that will never go anywhere else because of that. Maybe your key selling point is that your designs are so unique that you can't find them anywhere else. And your finishing is fantastic. Your finishing gives the vibe of a ready-made product or, something that somebody picked off the shelf. A feasibility study will help you to know what part of the market you'll be able to corner, since other people are probably already struggling that same market space with you. So these are some of the things that a feasibility study helps you to achieve. So if you are not starting with something very small, anything that is going to cost you good money to do, I would advise that you don't even take an inch without doing a proper feasibility study first. And that is where I end this video. Continue to watch, like, share, comment, and subscribe as I continue to share financial literacy tips, personal finance tips, and so on and so forth, and also small business ideas. At different points in the course of this show, I'll be sharing with you the pros and cons of getting a POS, how to start an Okada business, and so many other small businesses. So if you have not yet subscribed and you are interested in starting a small business and getting personal finance tips, then you should press the subscribe button. And I'll see you again next week.